All right, we have the September 26th meeting of the Conservation Commission. Please stand and salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi, Jake.
Hello, Mr. Park.
Bear Police.
What was Tommy Taylor? They saw the bear near the dump.
Yeah, Jake's mom had a close encounter with it.
Yes.
No, heading down southbound on 88 after Handy Hill. Was going towards the main road. He crossed 88.
And someone told me they saw it at the
bear?
lower
Yeah.
gate of the dump.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
When they
Yeah.
included that, good place to be.
That's right. We throw away good stuff.
All right, first we have discussion for Buzzards Bay Coalition, conservation restriction for the Petty property on Main Road. How are you?
Yes, I'm well, Good evening, Alan Decker, 114 Front Street in Bedford. It's good to be with you again. I'm with Buzzards Bay Coalition, and I'm here to talk to you about a conservation restriction over the former Petty property, which is we're now going to refer to as Snell Creek Reserve. I sent a bunch of information about the project to Chris that he shared with you. I am happy to share with you right now as we talk about this, the colorized maps that were part of the project. In fact, Mr. Chair, the main map actually is updated from the one I sent you because it shows the portion of the property that we conveyed out. And with your permission, I'd like to hand up enough sets
Sure.
so that everybody can follow along.
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you may recall, yeah, thank you. This was a property that was brought to the town's attention due to the fact that the property was enrolled in Chapter 61A for agricultural reasons, and the town was afforded the opportunity to exercise the right of first refusal to acquire the property or assign that right to a nonprofit land organization like the Buzzards Bay Coalition or Westport Land Conservation Trust or any number of others. And that's in fact what happened. We then acquired the property in fee and didn't have any long-term interest in the house on the property. So worked out an arrangement with the party who was going to acquire the property from the private sellers. And the area on this top map, the area in blue, is what we have conveyed out. It's a conforming house lot and contains the existing house and a couple of accessory buildings on the property. And so what is under discussion this evening is a conservation restriction to be held by the Conservation Commission over the remainder of the property in red, which is just over 29 acres in sum. As you can see, Snell Creek, that's the water course that runs north to south through the property. That is a cold water fishery resource, a CFR. As far as the Commonwealth is concerned, there is a population of native run brook trout in that creek, and we're interested in helping protect that property, protect the creek, keep this property as open space, publicly accessible, and we in fact brought this to town meeting, this most recent town meeting in May, or early June, May, seeking some Community Preservation Act funding, to help with the purchase of this conservation restriction by the town, bringing this money to the project, which enables us to get repaid for money that we borrowed to make the acquisition. The protection afforded by this restriction is very similar to the protection that we recently did with the Conservation Commission on the Angeline Brook property just to the west on that open space context map, the second map in the series, it's the oddly shaped sort of barbell property, if you will, that's off of Meadowbrook Lane, which is that recently connected cul-de-sac property or road to the west, but is now owned by us. Conservation Commission holding a CR over that. Natural resource values are extensive on this property. Besides the cold water fishery resource, the property has priority habitat for rare species as well as core habitat and critical natural landscape, both biomap coverages that are indicative of important natural resources. We don't anticipate doing anything unusual with this property. We are going to make it publicly accessible, develop a trail network, hopefully sometime soon, create a connection to the rest of that conservation land to the west that surrounds sections of Angelon Brook as it runs south, and develop one, possibly two parking areas, pervious surface parking areas, to enable ease of access for the public off of Main Road or this access road that runs along the very top of the angular portion of that property, behind the existing field. Happy to answer any questions you have about this, but this is just a continuation, not just, but this is a continuation of our partnership in protecting open land in the town for town residents and others. I need to work with Mr. Capone and Mr. Hartnett to coordinate the closing on this. If you don't have any questions, I'm not seeking a vote tonight because I do need to send the restriction up to Boston to have in Energy and Environmental Affairs legal staff review the proposed CR. And we expect some minor tweaks that I will share with you and through Mr. Capone. But happy to answer any questions, as I said, that you might have about the reserved rights or the natural resources that are being protected.
What activities are going to be allowed on the?
Passive recreation is what we're interested in supporting. So it's not possible for this to become an active ball field or anything like that. But the property will be open for public access, hunting, fishing. Those are passive activities that would be allowed, not restricted beyond what state law restricts. As I said, a trail network, amenities to help with public access, wayfinding signs. At this point, we create most likely a loop trail because we don't directly abut any conservation land, but as I said, we're working to achieve a connection to the rest of that conservation land that runs along Angelon Brook. So, those types of activities.
So, just a question about, it's on page 2?
Yes.
You've got this, your shaded areas, and then
Yes.
you've got this piece here that's bordered in green but not shaded. What?
So that is an in-holding. That just means it's still privately owned,
Okay.
and not protected. Different ownership, it's,
How do you access that, though? Is it landlocked?
it's a good question.
Landlocked.
Well, I mean, it's a good question. You access it because the property that we own is publicly accessible. How the owner has gotten there in the past, I'm not aware of what their access is. My guess is that there's an easement connecting. Does it connect to Meadowbrook Lane? Potentially. Does it connect to other ways? I don't know the answer to that.
Any other questions, guys? No.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, I'm not seeking a vote. I just wanted input from the commission.
Len, you have a question?
Len Potter, 771 Drift Road, and I don't understand, and I agree, it has a lot of endangered species and whatever's in there, it's already protected by law. You can't do anything within 100 feet of it, or 200, it's not a perennial stream, it's an intermittent creek. You can't do anything in it anyway, so why do we have to buy it to own it?
Well,
We can't do anything with it.
so the money that the town is going to use to purchase the property
Yep.
is being brought to the town. There's no actual town funding going into this project. Yes, the CPA money was town money, but that can only be spent on certain
I
uses,
understand.
open space
I
being
don't
one of them.
understand what the interest is in owning these pieces of property.
Well, the coalition is going to be the owner, long-term.
Right.
So it was part of a property that could be developed into additional houses. That's not gonna happen.
The mainland part of the house, the non-wetlands area, but the minute you get to Petty's keeping the back field, Petty kept the back field. The minute you go over the west wall of that field, you're in wetlands.
For
I
a
hunted up
stretch.
there, I had a gravel pit up there, I developed the road to go to the original soccer field up there. I'm very familiar with there. That brook you're trying to protect is about 2 feet wide and 6 inches deep, and it dries up in July. So I don't understand how you're getting brook trout. My grandmother owned 955 Main Road, and that brook comes right through there. And my father, it was a woods road, my father had a couple of pigs up in there, and my grandfather had filled that old woods road with stones so the water could flow through or over the top and larger fence. I don't know how the brook trout are getting through that.
I
I'm
can't
just
answer that
telling you what
question.
I
I
know.
can't answer that question
I don't
directly.
see why we go through such turmoil just to protect a piece of land that these people already have jurisdiction over. And now you're gonna have people walking all through it.
Well, passive recreation is something that we encourage.
In wetlands.
It's not entirely wetlands.
Most of it's wet.
Thank you, Ron.
I appreciate the interest.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, well said. Thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Very good. So I will be back with you.
Thank you, Alan.
You're welcome. Once the CR is in,
Beautiful.
close to, if not final form, so that we can actually do a formal vote
Okay.
and get it on with the closing. But I appreciate your time and input.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank
All
you
right,
very much.
thank you. All right.
Michael Lees III, 476 Old County Road, second repair. Evening, Michael.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Hey,
Don't breathe, because it'll fall off.
All set, my friend?
Len Parr, environmental design, here for Mike Lees, which is 476 Old County Road.
We're gonna get some better magnets one of these years.
Gonna fall down there.
Then we get the old one.
Okay, so anyway,
Get the whiteboard.
what we have here, this house is located 476, Tiffany Road is here, the Griswold house is right here, and Susan Dutra is here, and the river's right here. They're all small lots, small frontage. The existing house is a 4-bedroom house, and it has a well in the rear of the house, and it has a cesspool located right here. The cesspool's in the water table, it's a fit A. So we have to come up with some solution to get a septic system in for this 4-bedroom house. So we designed a bottomless sand filter for the 4-bedroom, based upon the perk test, soil test, and all that. And we're gonna put an Aventax AX20 with tank located here. And that will solve the problem of the, it's gonna be pumped up to this bottom sand filter with pump here. And that resolves the problem of the septic system. However, because everything is so close, there's wetlands located on the Chickatelli land off to the northeast, and this bottom of the sand filter will be 60 I'm sorry, what is that? 69 feet from that wetlands area. And then we have, the entire lot is in the flood zone, which is an A zone, elevation 12. And we're ending up with, it's basically all in the riverfront. The repairs they don't matter in the riverfront anyway, but we are in the flood zone, so this is the best we can do. The elevations of the bottom of sand filter will be up around elevation 8. And grading is minimal because it is raised above the grade and you don't do a lot of, having to do a lot of filling in. The bottom of sand filter is surrounded by a railroad tie type wall. And there's not much grading to do. It's the best thing I can come up with. The experts say, right, Phil, this is the best system in the world. So here we go. That's pretty much it.
Is this not house on the opposite side of the river from the head store, or the one?
It's
No.
the same side, no, it's the opposite.
Just up from the head store, same side.
This is the west of the head store.
Okay.
Yeah. Before you get to Gifford Road corner, there's a house
Oh, the big
separates
barn in
that.
the back?
What's that?
The big barn in the back, right in the river?
No.
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 It's just 2 away from the head store. It was for sale for a while and recently sold.
Oh, you look at the head to the left then?
To the left,
Yes.
correct.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
2 away, 2 away.
Two away, yeah.
Lenny, just a quick question. He's moving that wall in the rear of the property, right?
No.
He isn't. He's maintaining that. I thought there was a note that he was moving. Yeah, isn't he?
He's just taking, there's a wing wall, comes this.
Oh, just that
That
wall.
was a
Just
rental,
taking
wasn't
these three-
That was a rental up and down.
I got
It's a
you.
duplex. They were
Taking
asking
that out
$500.
so the water can
I
flow.
got you. So that wall in the rear is roughly just,
Still on
That
a
wall in the rear
Yeah,
is
it's like
actually
that.
an old bond foundation.
oh, it is.
And it has the bull ring still located in the rock. It's cut granite.
Beautiful.
This part is not.
Okay.
That back wall is not.
All right. But it's not property line though, from what I see. The property line seems to be.
The actually behind it.
I got you. Thank you.
Yep.
For the commission, my report, Mike Lees, 4760 Old County Road. This is a request for determination of applicability. Westport Environmental Design with Len Potter here this evening. The report date is September 19th, 2023. This is a Board of Health approved project. Site visit was on September 18th, 2023. Description of the work, the applicant has filed to replace the sewage disposal system at the existing residence. The property is located a few dwellings up from the head store. The proposed repair is within the buffer zone to wetlands on the abutting parcel. The leaching area will be 69 feet from the wetland. Erosion controls will be installed around the work location. The property falls within the riverfront area to the Westport River, but the existing activity falls under the Wetlands Protection Act exemptions for septic repairs on existing structures, as Lenny had mentioned. Resource area, again, this is just a buffer zone and flood zone project. Recommendations, Westport Conservation Commission should approve the proposed work for the sewage disposal system with a negative box 3 determination.
All right, good. Any other questions? Concerns? No? Motion?
I'll make a motion to issue negative box 3.
Second.
Second, Phil, all in favor? Opposed? All right. It was Jason, I thought. Thank you, Lenny.
I started doing all the work. It's always the trucks there. We just-
Okay, John Westerman, notice of intent, 126 East Beach Road, performing beach nourishment.
Continue to 1010,
Make a motion to continue to 10:10.
Motion continue.
per the applicant's request.
What was that?
Second.
Jake.
Me again.
Jacob, Kevin, okay. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Sandra D. Coleman, notice of intent, 36 First Street, replace failed septic and buffer zone. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen.
It's
For
cold.
the record, my name is George Ayu. I'm representing Sandra Lee Coleman, 36 First Street. I got the 3 cards first.
Yes, I take those.
Thank you, George.
And I have a small sketches here, a small plan
Perfect.
showing the proposed work with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, gentlemen, as you can see here, I think with the camera.
You can always see it, it's right around. Next time you want to say, show us the magnets.
Those are like the building 19 magnets.
Yeah, the ones with the plastic, you gotta get the.
We need to get the real.
The all black ones are
We
like.
need to go to like Mid-City and steal the one up there, the thing they used to lift the cars up.
You think about it. Go ahead, sir, whenever you're ready.
Okay, as you can see here, we have an existing two-bedroom house that is being served by two beehives, cesspools. Basically, those are two failing cesspools. And there are plenty of wetland in the back, towards the south side and on the west side of the property. It's a good-sized property that extends all the way to almost East Beach Road. The majority of it is wetland anyway. What I'm proposing here is to pump out and remove those cesspools and propose a total nitrogen removal system, a singular new one, and a plastic system, and I'm raising the system as high as possible. Right, at least 3 feet I'm raising it, and I'd like you to know here that this area, the entire area here, has been filled in about in the 60s, at least 4 feet. And based on this, on the map, FEMA map, it is above the 100-year event. Okay? And I raise it as much as I can anyway. Also, within 100 feet here, there is an approved septic system, fairly new. We just put it recently. It was approved and installed, less than 100 feet right here. I'm avoiding all the wells, the neighbor's well. The only thing I can't avoid is this well here because I will be encroached to the wetland. I'm asking for a variance to this well here, about 87 feet. I'm increasing it about 3 feet. Unfortunately, this is the only area where I could put the system, and I'm adding a liner at this end here. We'll be using silt fence on the upland area before the work. No work will be done in the wetland. And it's a very good system, this. It will be tested yearly, and that's it basically.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members, this is Sandra D. Coleman, 36 First Street. This is a notice of intent application filed by GTA Engineering. George Ayub is present. This report date is September 21st, 2023. There is a file number with no adverse comments. It is SE 802703. I also did the site visit on September 21st, 2023. Description of the work: the owner has filed to replace 2 cesspools with a new Title V design sewage disposal system. The site, 1.7 acre in size, has very limited upland with the coastal wetlands surrounding the parcel. The 2 cesspools will be pumped and filled. The new leaching area will be constructed in the edge of the lawn and located approximately 3.5 feet or so from the edge of the wetland. The well setbacks in this are stricter under the Title V setback requirements, so it pushes it as far away and closer to that resource area. The location as far as possible for the small property. The erosion controls will be installed around the work location, will remain until the area is stabilized. The work also falls within a velocity zone. It's actually a VE elevation 19. Resource areas impacted is land subject to flooding and the buffer zone. Recommendations: Westport Conservation should consider approving the sewage disposal system as designed pending Board of Health approvals with standard conditions. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions?
No questions, sir.
Any questions from the table?
So I just had a concern, although it was reduced when I saw you had put in the denitrification system. But just from a Board of Health point of view, it's been raised in a number of cases and brought to our attention that there's these provisions in Title V that requires the septic tank to be elevated where where you don't either have a previous septic tank or you're installing an SAS, if those are in the velocity zone. And it can't be addressed through a local upgrade approval. You have to do a variance. So I communicated this earlier to Chris and the chair, but because I was thinking that it might be premature to approve this plan until the Board of Health had reviewed it. Because I wasn't aware, and this is not a criticism of Chris, but he just didn't mention that there was a denitrification system installed here, which is also required, I think, because you're within 50 feet of a bordering vegetated wetland. So I don't think, I think it's unlikely that the plan will actually be varied that much through the Board of Health review process. So I'm more comfortable with it if the commission decides to go forward with this, subject to the Board of Health approval. But you should talk to Matt a little bit before you actually submit the plan, because maybe there'll be, some other cases have put, some protective wall around the SAS in order, to protect it from the impact of if you really had a velocity, if you really had a storm surge or that kind of thing. So,
Can I say something?
yeah, of course.
Again, based on the map, FEMA map, this area here is outside the 100 year
Oh.
and outside the velocity zone.
Oh, okay, because it was,
Okay?
okay.
It has been filled in the 60s, and the contractor is still living.
Yeah, I was just, yeah,
They filled it in 4 feet at least in that area.
okay.
They built those houses. We are outside the 100 year.
But you're still in a velocity zone. Elevation 19 is pretty high, so no
Based
matter.
on this, it doesn't show it.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
using-
it's based on elevation on the site too, so roughly, you might be right, but
4
I,
feet, they raised it. In fact, on my report, the soil report, I'm showing 4 feet of fill in that area.
yeah, but the new FEMA regulations were based on 2008, so this, no matter if this area was filled back in the 60s, we all know that, but this is pretty darn close to a velocity zone area, so
I'm
not to dispute
Yeah.
what Phil has raised.
Yeah,
I am using the liner here. I want to stay away from the
But
wetland.
I think your design is comparable to the situation. There are just some concerns the Board of Health has been having with similar properties, and they require now that variance just to cover their bases.
yeah.
So I
I'm
don't
assuming
think,
you are in the V zone, and I guess the board would rely on Chris's determination as far as that goes. So if you guys want to talk more about it, you should,
No problem.
you should do that, but I'm fine going ahead with.
so yeah, I think if we make it approval contingent on
Yeah,
any
yeah,
changes to
and
Board of Health,
yeah.
you're good with us,
Yeah.
and then you'll go before the
Yeah.
Board of Health.
Yeah,
That's great.
I was just
All right.
more concerned, again, because sometimes Chris mentions that there's a D-night system
Yeah,
as
I
part of it.
apologize, I didn't, yes.
And he did, and I thought, well, then we'll be approving a plan that would require a D-night, but it's not in here, so we probably have to come back in front of us again and get approved, so why don't we, but I'm fine the way it is. So, I will move that we approve the sewage disposal system in the plan, subject to subsequent DEP, BOH approval.
Second it.
All right, that was Phil and Jake. All's in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
We have next is Pierce Family Trust, RDA, 2043 Main Road, construction condition at Riverfront, previously approved, expired. We have to continue to 10/10/23 because it was originally advertised on the wrong date. So looking for a motion to continue to 10/10/23.
Make a motion, continue to 10:10.
Second.
Okay, that was Kevin, Jason and Kevin, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Blue Cat LLC, notice of intent, lots 4B, 4C, 4G, Westport Lake, to start independent living facility in the buffer zone.
Mr. Chairman, the request of the applicant as well, that's continued to 10/10.
All right, motion to continue to 10/10.
I got one question. I probably asked this before, but where is Westport Lakes?
It's
Off of 177.
west of Route 88 off Route 177.
Yeah.
So if you take 88 heading towards Ace Hardware.
So does it flow to the Westport River? Yes, there is a subsequent wetland area
Yeah.
that slowly meanders under 177 by way of Mouse Mill Road, and then goes
Okay.
under by the old Hank's Propane,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
heads towards the high school. So yes,
Okay.
this would be by way of a well-traveled path that would make it to the
Yeah.
Westport River.
Right.
I would just like to commend Chris for recommending that we get an independent consultant to review the stormwater analysis, which, of the applicants, which showed a lot of holes that really needed to get filled before we would approve it. So that was a very good call.
Thank you.
You have a motion to continue to 10/10?
I move we continue to 10:10.
Ms. Burke?
10:10 or 10:20? It's 10:24 on,
Oh,
No, 10/10 for
10:10.
Blue Cat, yeah, 10/24 for, I talked to I originally in my report put 10/24, but I spoke to them and they said the
Okay.
next meeting they'll be ready, so.
Okay.
They're trying to squeeze our conditions, well, now that we've changed it, so that they go right to the planning board with these revisions that meet more specifically a better design, so they'd feel more positive waiting.
Okay, so that was Bert, and who seconded it?
Jason.
Jason.
Okay. Bert and Jason, all those in favor? Opposed?
aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Dwight Silver, notice of intent, 181 East Beach Road, expansion of existing shed and buffer zone, coastal dune, barrier beach, and lands of coastal storage flowage.
Mr. Sylvia contacted me, he verified that we knew the ZBA denied his request. So he therefore is asking to continue this hearing till October 24th. I've told him to revise the shed location to maintain the 10-foot setback from the sideline. He, in his email, stated that he would be this winter lifting it up and placing it on a additional sonotube located further away to allow him to shift this, but he needed a couple weeks to drain the tank that is currently within it. The winter season's coming, so I acknowledge that we would consider approval. I thought it met the conditions being raised. He also is making the deck off the rear smaller per the building department's comments, and I think in that manner, with a revised plan, we could consider it. So I would ask that we continue that till 10/24.
All right. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'd second it.
Phil and Bert, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, that's the unanimous vote. Okay, certificate of compliance for Brian Cavallo, 10 Melissa Beth Way, SE 801815.
Let me find that in my mess here. Brian Cavallo, this is an old application, Mr. Chairman, 10 Melissa Beth Way, certificate of compliance requested for file number SE 801815. The report is dated September 21st, 2023, but this project dates back till 2009 when the development, Kyle Jacob Way development was constructed. The owner has filed the requested certificate of compliance for the single-family house constructed in 2009. The work was completed according to the plan of record. Recommendations: Westport Conservation Commission should grant a certificate of compliance for file number SE 801815 as all work has been completed according to the plan of record.
All right, questions or motion?
Motion.
Motion from Jake,
Second.
second from, who's it?
Kevin.
Kevin. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. That's unanimous, no. Next, we have Dennis Lavoy, certificate of compliance, 293 Tickle Road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was unanticipated. The applicant, or rather the owner came in, he's another one undergoing a sale of his property, and he needed this in a more timely fashion. So this is Dennis Lavoy, 293 Tickle Road. This is a structure that was built in a location of an older property, and he purchased it and built a new garage in the location of the dilapidated one that was sitting next to the new home. So the owner has filed a requested certificate of compliance for the garage completed 10 years ago approximately. The garage was constructed in the buffer zone to south of Tupper Pond. The new garage replaced an old, smaller, dilapidated structure. So this was buffer zone activity. This is file number SE 802080. Recommendations, the Westport Conservation should grant a certificate of compliance with file number SE 802080 as all work has been completed according to the plan of record. Dennis Lavoy, 293 Tickle Road.
Any questions? No questions? A motion?
Motion approved.
Second. Motion from Jay, second from Jason. All those in favor?
Hey,
Opposed? Nobody. All right, that's unanimous, no. Okay, we have expenses. East Bay Media charged $46 for advertising for the hearings, for 1, 2, 3, 4 hearings. Motion to pay?
Motion to pay.
Okay, Jason, motion to pay. Is there a second?
Jake.
Second, Jake. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, no. Minutes, August 15th. Present, myself, Jason, Phil, Burton, and Jake, Kevin. Oh, same for this, isn't it? So, those minutes were sent out a while back. If there are no changes to the minutes, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from August 15th.
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second?
That was Jake and Phil. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, no. Next. Minutes from 9/12/23. Present, myself, Jake, Kevin, and Tom. So Tom, you don't have, we need Tom here for this one, so it's on the board, so we'll let that one slide for the next meeting. Chris?
All I have for correspondence, Mr. Chairman, is the Brian Corey Well project. It's been going on for quite some time. They had a meeting today with the 3 hydrogeologists, Peter Dillon for the applicant, Mark Nelson for Buzzards Bay, and George Campbell for the town. They just overviewed the well's locations, and they looked at the bore logs. George commented to me that the wells are not bedrock wells. They're actually within fine sands, but they are artesian at this point. He more specifically said well number 2 was artesian. They are not proposing a pump test. As Mr. Weinberg was concerned at this time, they are looking for drier conditions, and they're hoping for a little drier conditions, so they're moving this towards the November window. Okay? So that is something we hope comes to fruition. Unfortunately, we didn't have a drought as we have had considerable for the past 2 years or 3 years, excessively. So Mother Nature has a strange way of changing things quite considerably.
Was the original narrative for this that the wells were in bedrock?
I believe they did mention something along
Correct.
those
Yeah,
lines.
yeah,
Correct.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because the argument was the depth of them would not
Yeah,
be.
but the
impacted.
bore
And it was a
logs were very,
separate
I
water
think the
source.
logs were lacking considerably from what the well driller had put down. They weren't very specific. So these are the actual wells that they have put in to monitor further for those well locations.
Right. Could be that the wells that they're looking to approve are bedrock wells, but these test wells
Correct.
are not. They're in the overburden.
So again, we had asked that they all come to a consensus, and that's what this meeting was, looking at the logs, making sure where the locations were conducive for what we were trying to accomplish. So I believe that all was good, so we're moving towards that November window.
They still go down like 600 feet or something there? boring, where the hell, it was very deep, I remember that, the wells.
The wells, yeah, the ones we put in for monitoring weren't that deep, so, but this particular, ones that they installed were in the 400 to 500 foot depth.
So when you
yes.
do the pump test, you're gonna use their well locations, and
Yes.
these will only be.
And these are monitoring
drawdown.
locations, right, for drawdown, correct,
Okay.
correct. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting seems to be more of a continuance with a couple new hearings, but, things seem to be leveling off a little bit with the change in the season, so. That's all.
All right. No one has anything else, looking for a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
Second.
Second from Jason, that's Kevin and Jason, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed? That's unanimous, Thank you, Valerie.